So just to show you, it's kind of throwing it at you at the same time with all of the different tools, but on the right-hand column, you'll have all the different parts, and the layers is one of them. And again, these logos are scanned from your pictures onto this. The top layer is the one that you're going to work with at the seeing of that section. So we've done the first ones, just kind of show you how to take this particular line is what you're going to illustrate. So this particular way she has all the different lines in there, you're going to follow over with the pen tool, which is the nib. And again, when you click and hold the mouse down, you're going to get an array of different tools if it has this little caret in the lower right corner of that toolbar. If you click on and just let go, it disappears, but if you click and hold the end of it on the right-hand side is a window shade, and it'll leave all these little icons up on the screen, and you can always hide those to get rid of them. Okay? So here's the pen tool. I'm going to use the section of the mouse to scroll in and out so I can see the screen a little better. And I can also just use the magnifying glass. And you'll notice when you leave the mouse over a tool, it gives you the keystroke. So I could hit the letter Z and it turns into a magnifying glass. If I click and drag, it zooms in, or go the other way, it zooms out. And then if I want to get the pen tool, I just click on the letter P and it'll come right back. Now remember, if I just click with the pen tool, I'm showing you this is a green line that it shows. And if I don't like the green line, say it's too light, in the layers panel I can double click on it and change that color to a different section, and then now it shows up with that color. So it depends on what you like to work with. And remember, if you undo something, just Command Z, it's going to change that to takes you back one. So what you want to do is look at this outline. For example, I'm just going to click and set a point and try to look at the overall curve of this large S and just click and drag these things. These are two handles that operate the path, and I'm trying to match up this right-hand side right here with the arrow with that line. And if I hold the Shift key down, it'll come out proportionately straight. This is what they call a rubber band that shows the progression of the letter, and if you're trying to put the least amount of points into this curve, so I'm going to set the curve right there. I may drag the handles out just a little bit, keeping them somewhat symmetrical. And now I'm just using the space bar to send this down. And now I'm dragging this out, seeing if I can match this. Now before I let go of the mouse, I can hold the space bar down, and it allows me to create that section here. And now I'm just slowly clicking and dragging the pen tool out. And when I get to the end, I don't want to clip it right on the end. And if I don't like that path right there that I made, just zooming in and spacebarring, I can undo it and go back and try it again. Okay. And if I don't like that one, I can keep backtracking. Command minus just to minimize it down and see. So it's a tricky tool to get the hang of, but once you do, you'll be really good at it. And here, instead of going to the end, it's going to add a point. Come just before it and clip that handle. And why that point is still selected, you can tell because of the hollow end. I'm just going to use the arrow key on the keyboard to place it in there. Okay? And then I'm just going to back out of this to see this section. And again, here's where the end point is. So if you take the mouse with the pen tool and click on it, it'll start it up again. And I'm going to zoom in so I can see it and come across this distance. I'm looking at this overall piece to see if that there. And again, as a designer, she placed this in there, but you as the graphic artist, you're interpreting their drawing to try to match what they have. So now I'm coming down this way and kind of see this little loop right here. And again, you're trying to see how far you can get without putting a lot of points onto this section. Again, just before it touches the edge, that's where I'm going to click the mouse and then just use the arrow key, and it drops it right on top of the path right there. Now the nice thing about this is it's all one path, and I can go ahead and change the thickness of it. Here's the stroke up at the top. I can make it a little bit thicker, like that, because it's going to be thicker than the interior ones, okay? And then the next step is to take a look at it and say, okay, how am I going to do these interior ones? We'll take the pen tool, and in this case, depending on which one you start with, I'm just going to click here and say I come all the way out to this distance here. And you see the thickness, why it's still highlighted. I'll just go ahead and draw it out first. There it is, the curve. Just using the space bar to move up. Magnifying glass, just using the command option. Coming down, you see it kind of has it touching, so see if we can touch them. Now, as a designer, if you don't have the artist, I'm not sure if she wanted them to touch, but I'll make them touch right there. And then you see it's still connected, so I can hold the command key and just click, or just click the tool in the toolbox and it deselects that tool. And this one I'm just going to go ahead and change the point size to 1. And just to hide this so you can see what it looks like, that's the beginning of it. So you're trying to match their sketch. And again, the P for the pen tool. Just clicking on this one. Clicking on here. And again, the space bar allows you, if you don't like what you've done, backtrack with the command Z. And see if you can curve that part. So you may have to add an extra point in there to get the curve. I'll do the first letter for you. So here's where it's kind of tangent with this shape right here. Just clicking. And again, just hitting the tool in the toolbox allows you to start this fresh. I'll just do it the other direction. I'm already down here. I'm trying to come as close to the drawing as you possibly can. So just climbing up the top here. And again, just click on the tool. That's one way to get out of it. So here I'm just clicking and dragging the point first to get that curve. So it's a good practice, especially for this pen tool. And here's the last one here. So, and then when you have it where you think it's pretty close to what I've got here, I can just go ahead and hide that layer. And that's what that first part looks like. Okay. Now the second part with the C in this section, I'm just going to create this path here. Go there, so that's the thickness. Now I can also just use the eyedrop tool and click on this path and it sets it to the same stroke there. That's pretty good. And on this part, bottom part, I'm just clicking once and just going to drag the handle out to make that curve. And then do the same thing, just grab the eyedrop tool and click on this and it changes that path. The eyedrop takes the attributes for that particular piece builds it up to it. So you can click here, and click and just drag the handle. So keep in mind, you can also click and drag the handle out a little bit. And drag this piece here. Okay, so there's the second part of it, like that. And then the last part with the tops, letter C. Just click here, set a corner point just by clicking right on the point itself. And again, the eye is the eyedrop tool for the keystroke, and that fills that piece in. Do it again. Here's the eye just grabbing that line. So it's a good section here. So go ahead and give it a try. It's this section right there if you haven't started already. And then here's the selection. And when you're finished with this one, the keystroke for hitting the tab key is going to hide all the tabs, and Command Shift 4 turns the cursor into a crosshair, which allows you to take this shot. And that's your screen